Uh,
Welcome back to PoPolitickin.com, your home for self-help meets hip-hop. Right now we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Check me out on Spotify and Amazon. 1212, I'm in place to be with Malik Starx. How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm fantastic. How you feeling, Paul?
I'm feeling great, man. So, we got an interesting story, man. So I want to just talk to you about your whole life. I was like, damn, this is an interesting. I never interviewed nobody think about it. Yes, I have. I think you the second PhD I interviewed, but I don't know. Yeah, from Ivy League school, no. So I was like, damn, that's crazy. Just good stuff, man.
Man, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's been a, wild ride, hard road to glory, but we up in here.
All right. So where's your hometown? Where you from?
So I'm originally, I grew up in the DC area, like Hyattsville, Maryland, right outside of Northeast DC. So so that's the origin story. Basically, kind of been zigzagging. Grew up there in PG County. Spent a couple years in New York City. Spent a few years in Berkeley, and now I'm out here in Providence, Rhode Island.
So
And
what's your earliest memories of hip hop?
whew, man, so my older brother was really into hip hop, and my both of my parents listened to a lot of music. My earliest memories of hip hop really is like the Message, Grandmaster Flash, and listening to Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh with the show and whatnot. Probably like early '80s, early to mid '80s. Just rocking out to them songs on the local radio and listening to the records that my older brother was playing. So fell in love with it immediately, and I was just formative for me, for sure.
What rappers influenced you the most?
My probably Rakim, huge influence on me. I saw those, heard those songs, saw those videos. I was like, damn, this cat is so cool, man. It kind of almost reminded me of with that kind of stoic, stern look. Almost reminded me of my father or something. He was just so cool. Um, and Nas is somebody that every album, I've been rocking with Nas since really, since Live at the Barbecue when he was on the Main Source album, back in the day. So he's been a huge influence on me as well. Common falls in that category. Is somebody that I've listened to that's been formative. Andre 3000, um, you know, but really a lot of hip hop. I mean, we really could go all day. I mean, I'm here with my Hyro shirt on, and Souls of Mischief was a huge influence on me as well. Listening to their syllable play and just kind of the way that they could just be regular cool dudes, as opposed to some mythic superhero character or something that they had created. It was just cool cats. Seemed like folks that I could just hang out with, but that had dope lyrics. And so a lot of that is present in the way that I think about approaching a page, and was just formative stuff that I listened to and still listen to.
I will ask you. You was talking about Nas. So what you think about King's Disease?
I thought King's Disease was a great album. I really enjoyed it a lot. There were a lot of different styles, different approaches, and I think he did a nice job of kind of mixing it up. Getting some of the younger folks on there. Doing a record with Lil Durk and doing a record with Ferg. I thought that was a kind of a neat thing where he was bridging some of the old styles with the new styles, and also he made a grown up album. He's also really talking from the perspective of a person that's late 40s and not necessarily sounding mad old. It's like modern dope music, but it's also just an honest album from a grown up father out here who's still deep in hip hop culture and who is also using his platform to introduce people from his audience to younger folks, as well as, you know, having some of the folks who like, you know, who might even check for him because he's doing a record with Ferg. You know, I thought it was just a nice bridge from you know, eras that he's from to the modern era, and I think it was really well done, and the beats were good, and you know, the themes were fresh from front to back. That was a dope album.
Yeah, I think that you was talking about a Grown Man album, that one song with Anderson .Paak, it's all good too. Oh, bad. You gotta go through some stuff to understand that song.
That's it, right. And you know, I mean, clearly, you know, we've been listening to Nas for more than half of his life. Yeah. And have seen him go through things, and you know, just there's a lot of wisdom that is you know, before he was rapping from wisdom beyond his years, and now he's also like rapping from wisdom that's congruent with his years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done, you know, been through some stuff in this life, and you know, let me talk about that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciated it. Thought it was dope.
All right, man. So how would you describe your style as an MC?
My style as an MC at this moment, see, I've been making music for a good long while, and at this moment, I am returning to making music for the first time in a decade, and it's been just deliberate to make music that is informed by, you know, these 10 years journey of higher education, and but also making music that is movable, that's dope, that people can just enjoy, that's not just, you know, egghead rap, you know what I mean, but that has some educational value to it, and that has some, you know, some teaching and learning going along with the joy and the dancing. You know, I pay a lot of attention to lyrics and syllables. I think I really try to you know, craft something that's you know, intricate and interesting, but also that is you know, that's just enjoyable to the ear, and that you don't have to have all of the degrees to understand what I'm talking about. And maybe if you don't, maybe you could hear something that I'm talking about and find it interesting enough to go and check out. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. And what I'm hoping is that yeah, that much in the ways that hip hop that I've listened to has inspired me to go learn about things and research things. I'm hoping that the music that I'm creating now might inspire people to go learn about things and research things, but also just enjoy it in the moment, you know?
And then you were saying you took a 10-year break. Was that because of your like career?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, I was making music, you know, slumming it, couch surfing, trying to, you know, rap in different cities, trying to get on, just doing all of the things that I could to try to make it in a career in hip hop. And it just wasn't really panning out. And I more or less, you know, some people, you know, drop out of school to join the band. And I kind of dropped out of the band to join school, you know. So, you know, I felt like I'd have a better control over my destiny if I, you know, stacked the deck with degrees and went that route. And so, yeah, 10 years, you know, finished my bachelor's degree, did a master's degree, did a PhD, and then did a postdoctoral fellowship and ended up landing a professor gig. And yeah, I really enjoy being a professor and doing research, but it would be hard for me to you know, handle all of what I handle without a creative outlet. So I just dug back into the well of hip hop, and you know, I've just been making songs to kind of you know, get me through the week, get me through the month, and hoping that people are enjoying them.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out, are you you work in, it's basically psychology department, right?
Yeah. We're it's the Cognitive Linguistic and Psychological Sciences Department at Brown. So it's we have like neuroscientists, psychologists, and linguists. I'm a psychologist by training. That's my bag, you know. But yeah, all three of those disciplines are well represented in our department here at Brown. Yep.
And then so how long you been teaching at Brown?
This is like my first year. I mean, technically, I taught a class here as a postdoc last year, but I got promoted to this professorship July 1st. So I'm rounding out year one, you know, as the first Black tenure track professor in my department in its history. So, you know, this department's been around, the psych department's been around for 130 years, and they've never had hired a Black tenure track faculty member until me. So, you know, just in this joint, making away, doing my work, and making music, you know.
You must touch somebody's soul when you said that, because once you said that, I got a heart popped up. But I'm actually so about the so Ivy League. What does it mean when they say like Ivy League school? Like what is the meaning behind that?
Yeah, so they're all of the schools except one in the Ivy League are really old. I mean, they're some of the oldest universities in the country. So Brown has been around since 1764. Columbia has been around since 1754. Harvard and Yale have been around since the 1600s. And, you know, the joke is that these universities are all so old that they just got ivy growing up and down the buildings. And yeah, and so that was kind of the phrase that begat, you know, people calling it the Ivy League. But it's also now the sports conference as well that all of these schools compete in. So you've got University of Pennsylvania and Princeton, Cornell and Columbia, Dartmouth and Brown, Yale and Harvard, and those 8 schools make up the Ivy League.
Yeah, sports teams don't really be doing that good though.
Not anymore. Once upon a time, it was a powerhouse, but there was some scandals back in the day about, you know, recruitment and, you know, what was going on with you know, just folks infiltrated it, and, you know, some nefarious things going on. We got rid of it.
Seems like that's still going on. I was gonna say, what about, you know, how they had it with a little while ago? You know, the celebrities went to jail. They was like paying their kids to go to school and everything.
That wasn't just it wasn't just the Ivy League. That was happening at schools all over the country. I know some folks got hemmed up with USC and some other places as well. You know, I mean, anywhere where there's a resource, just a coveted resource, then you know, folks with power and influence are going to try to figure out how they can stack the deck to get access to that resource. You know, and admissions to Ivy League schools are definitely a resource that people covet in those ways. And so, you know, that happened. It's unfortunate that it happened, but yeah, you know, so some of these universities was in the news for the wrong reasons around all of that, you know.
Yeah, I would say I see you. You got your undergrad from Howard though, so that's HBCU. So
yeah. So I started at Howard. I definitely did. I started at Howard. I left Howard to pursue hip hop, you know, which at that period of time was not far fetched. You know, a lot of people were leaving Howard in that time to, you know, go pursue careers in music, and some of the people that I was contemporary with made it. You know, like
you go through with Diddy.
No, he was before me. Diddy was actually at school with my brother. And, you know, remember my brother talking about going to, you know, Diddy's parties and stuff back when he was an undergrad. But then Diddy basically turned an internship into an empire. And, you know, we're many of us are familiar with that history. But no, definitely wasn't there with Diddy. I was there with Chad Boseman. That was interesting. Definitely saw him in some plays on campus back in the day, among others, you know. But yeah, you know, Howard's definitely a place. A lot of stars have come through that come through that yard. You know.
So how you feel about Chad and his legacy?
Oh man, I mean that dude is amazing. I mean, it was clear that he was a special person while we were in undergrad. I mean, it was clear. Like, you know, folks say that and, you know, say that about people after they pass or after they blow up or whatever. But he was like an activist on campus. Like from one of my earliest memories of him was, you know, there was a protest where folks stormed the stage and, you know, took the microphone from the president of the university, and, you know, then there was a takeover of the administration building in protest of basically stripping the fine arts department from being or the fine arts school, demoting it from a school to a department. And a lot of the students didn't like that and other things that were happening. And Chad was at the forefront of that, was a leader of that, you know, and had people very much, you know, following his leadership in this sense of moral conviction that he had. I think that moral conviction has, you know, played out in other parts of his career. You know, I know there was the story about him taking a pay cut so that one of the women that was a part of a movie that he was in was able to have equal pay. And those kinds of stories, as they come out, are like, that's the same Chad as always. He was always, you know, just a very morally upstanding a person who just moved behind his principles. And even still, you know, thinking back, like, I mean, actually, you know, went to plays this brother was in, and it was like, man, this some high caliber acting. Like, you know, this dude is. You see that play? You know, there were plays. There was a play he was in that I saw 3 times. It's like, you know what I'm saying? You know, being at Howard and you see the talent that's on campus. I mean, even, you know, there were music artists and other artists that were contemporary with us. You know, Frenchie Davis, if you know that name, is a singer. She was at Howard with me as well. And she was super cool, you know what I mean? And just didn't even realize that she was as talented as she was until I saw her sing. And it was just like, you could do that. I know somebody that could do that. It's crazy. Like, you know, and I got to see her perform a number of times while we were there. It's just like, oh, Frenchie's on the bill. Oh, let me get a ticket to that. I'm showing up. And as you know, Howard was like that. Like there were stars among us while we were on campus, and some of those people went on to be stars on the world stage in ways that were just, you know, didn't seem surprising to any of us if you got to see what these folks can do when they were 18, 19 years old, you know.
And I'll say, do you have like a certain thing in like a niche in psychology you like to zone in on and study the most out of anything else?
Yeah. I study, well, in this moment, I'm studying algorithmic bias, just the ways that algorithms can make decisions that affect people from different groups differently. You know, I know that one of the algorithms that we have really been using in our research and thinking a lot about is the bail granting algorithm in Broward County, Florida, and how it has just disproportionately denied bail to Black people, and just trying to get into the understanding and the psychology of how people might go about fixing algorithms, whether or not people want to fix them, and of the ways that people can go about fixing them. What do people prefer? How do people want to go about doing that? So that's some of the research that I do, but it all just kind of grows out of my broader research on prejudice and discrimination. That's my bag. I teach a course called The Psychology of Stigma and Prejudice, and many of the papers that I publish really, you know, grow out of my interest in the psychology of prejudice. Yeah.
So do you think that's like, do you think it's like somewhere we can go and escape it? It's like better than other countries, or is your study showing you it's pretty much worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, we could go to other countries and escape it, but that doesn't mean you've escaped prejudice. It just means you have escaped to a place where the prejudice isn't being directed towards you. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, anywhere you go, I mean, even if you're in a place where everybody's black, you know, I mean, some of the time that I spent in the Bahamas, some years back, I saw prejudice being lodged against Haitian communities, right? And similar with the Dominican Republic, right? It's just kind of anywhere you land on the map, somebody's getting the short end of the stick from a prejudice standpoint, and you could certainly end up in a place where you're dodging it, you're missing it. It's not you that people are looking for. So that's I mean, is it fixable? I personally feel like, is it fixable at the global scale in humanity? Not really. Can you fix it in your community? Can you fix it at your company? Can you fix it, at your school? You could definitely take some steps to mitigate it. But I think that, to some level, humans are going to human. And as long as we've kept a recorded history of humanity, it's been stories about people from one group trying to destroy the people from the other group, and that's just kind of a part of how our species relates to each other. We form groups, and there's competition for resources, and if the competition gets heated, then people are gonna have a tough time.
Yeah. So I will ask you about what current projects you working on right now with the music.
Oh yeah. So I have a EP that is in the process of being mixed. Should be dropping it in May, and it's called High Science. It's me and a brother named Stefan Alexander. He is a professor of theoretical physics here at Brown University, but he's also a producer. And he sent me a couple of beats, I wrote to them, and then he sent me a couple more, and I kept writing to them and let a few people hear what we were working on. And folks was like, man, this is cool. You should put this on out there. So, so that's what we did. We put the one song out there, Dancing for Freedom. And that one is, I've been pleasantly surprised at the response it's been getting at this point in time. We're closing in, the hashtag that we created for it is closing in on 600,000 plays on TikTok. And, it's doing solid on Spotify. I think we just passed 8,000 plays over there. And folks are, sending dance videos every time I log on. I logged on this morning and saw a video by a young woman who did a Black Lives Matter interpretive dance to the song Dancing for Freedom. Damn near brought tears to my eyes, man. It was such a, just to know that something I put out in the world led somebody to create something that was, so moving. And the broader project, the songs have different feels to them. I did a record with Micah 9 from Freestyle Fellowship. He and I did a record about Marcus Garvey together. That'll be on the project, as well as Dancing for Freedom that I just talked about. I did with my Sierra Leonean reggae singing homie named Kanja, and got a tune for the ladies called My Special One. That also the love interest in the song is I'm rapping about a woman that's a scientist. You know what I mean? So literally every single song has some flavor to it that is educational or just challenges, identities and just tries to bring something to the discourse beyond just it's a song. It's like each song has something to it that has some education value.
We about to go to Dance for Freedom right now.
Hey man, let's rock it. Let's do it.
Hey, but I meant to ask you, man, since I know it was I was talking about, I heard on the news, it was another I think he was a teacher at Ivy League school, he was talking about he does heroin as a good work lifestyle. So you a professor too, so I don't know.
Well, hey, I met Carl Hart, man. He's a good dude. Certainly a lot of people sent that article to me like, oh, what's up with the heroin professor or whatever, right? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like for all of the people, all of the white people that we've read about that have done heroin, nobody calls like Ozzy Osbourne the heroin singer. Like nobody does that, right? And it's just kind of like, damn, why is it stick to this guy? And nobody is thinking about the fact that, this brother went from assistant professor to associate professor to full professor. He does a lot of advocacy for more responsible drug policy and talks about the inherent racism in the way that drug policy is written. And all of that goes out of the window. And the only thing people know about him is that he did heroin. And it's like, damn.
That's why I was wondering. I was like, was it just for like, was he doing that for like soundbite or something? Like, I didn't.
No. My take on it. I read the article, and luckily I got to meet the man before and form an impression of him as a scholar before I saw the article that I felt almost was like a hit piece on his character or designed to get people to not listen to him and to not take him seriously, which I think he is a person who really should be taken seriously and whose scholarship I think is really just outstanding and important. He gave me advice about graduate school when I was a graduate student at Columbia. He's a full professor at Columbia, and he was active with the African American Studies department over there, even though he's a neuroscientist. But I mean, his argument is that people reduce individuals that do drugs to just being drug users, almost like they're mindless, just like they just can't help themselves. And he argues that no, these are rational thinking people, and many people are recreational users and functional in society, and that we should have policy that treats people that use drugs as human beings. It's like a radical concept because like the war on drugs treats them as if they're not human beings, and if their addiction just means they're just going to run up at everybody's house and steal their stuff and kill and rape people or something.
Yeah,
it's like
you already said it. You said the war on drugs. So that right there, war.
Yeah, hunt it. You know what I'm saying? And he's just like these are human beings that should be treated as such, and we need to approach the problem with just more humanity and more empathy. And what does he get? He becomes almost a victim of his own research. Like, people just throw out, like, oh, drug professor. It's like, damn, that's it. That's all he gets. Like, all this science that he did gets thrown out the window because you found out that he did some heroin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That was tough. But it definitely let me know that I should probably never do heroin. So I'm not gonna do it.
All right, we about to go into the video. Let me share a screen right quick. We go right into it. My little baby in the background.
Hey.
Let me find it right here. Share. Okay.
Hey. I recognize those cats.
It was an amazing day when I found out what a cage bird say. And when I started to move, it was a spirit silhouette got me. When things get overwhelming, gotta dance till you break morning. Move till the break of dawn, if you feel like tomorrow ain't coming. I know what I'm about, don't feel me, don't. I'm holding my clout, I'm dancing it out. Let's go, I'm gonna smoke freedom. Angola to Miami, free like capoeira. Move the bricks, need it to the soul like capoeira. Getting on the dance floor, dancing in the mirror. So I go top on the cheese, I'm moving for the mind, and we dancing for free. Miriam Makeba, Patrice Lumumba, Winnie Mandela, Kwame Nkrumah, Dina Kamathi, Benedict Hamer, Haile Selassie, Ella Joe Baker, Leopold Singer, Meadow Domingo, Revolution Music, Revolution League, we dancing for freedom. We dancing for freedom. I'm a middle slouch, you know, stuck on no couch, you know, I ain't gonna crouch, you know, I'm dancing it out, now I'm on the loose, going out from the blues, speaking the truth. When it's closing in, I get a chance I'm supposed to win. I can fit my soul broken in, the hope again, let the motion be open in. Getting rid of that walk, Ethiopian, feeling in the vision, like what you meant to the rhythm him. Rockin' with a feeling wisdom, when you moving like you trying to get independent, then they be moving like eternity within a minute. I know what I'm about, can't fill me with doubt, no, I'm holding my clout, I'm dancing it out, let's go, I'm dancing for freedom, 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 freedom. Angola to Bahia, we got freedom, capoeira, moving pretty here, and to the soul, I got no get it on the dance floor, dancing in the mirror. So my coats are on, my keys are moving for the modern. We dancing for freedom, 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 freedom. How long will it take for us to see that freedom really is free? No matter how real the struggles be, I'm making some hard. Say freedom ain't free. No. Freedom is free, y'all. Who said freedom ain't free? No. Freedom is free, y'all. Who said freedom ain't free? No. Freedom is free, y'all. Who said freedom ain't free? No. Freedom is free, y'all. Put your hands up. Put them up. Pick up the pistol. Get it up. Put your hands up. Put them up. Pick up the pistol. Get it up. No. Let's go. Freedom. 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 I'm the when I'm out. Can't fill me with doubt. No. I'm holding my clout. I'm dancing it out. Let's go. I'm dancing for freedom. Freedom. Freedom.
Yeah, I like that joint.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that a lot.
I'm saying, what do you mean when you say freedom is free?
Yeah. So, there was a lot of conversations with Kanja and I as we were writing the tune. And one of the things that really came out was this idea that some people were saying things like, oh man, this pandemic, I really miss dancing, and it's just like, how are you gonna miss dancing? Like, you're always free to dance. You can always do
that. How you want. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Watch me now. You know what I mean? And so like, just kind of thinking back to, this whole idea about, the cage bird, right? It's like the cage bird is free to sing. Like, they may be incarcerated. They may have, this particular a moment where they're constrained and where they're, where there's a cage, but they still got agency over their voice. They got agency over their own bodies. Like, the spirit is still free. You know what I mean? And that was really, one of the ideas that we were trying to capture. And, even still, like in mentioning a lot of freedom fighters,
Yeah, that was tight too.
Yeah, a lot of them danced. A lot of them, had artistic expressions. So, on the evenings after, the speeches and the marches and the protests, on weekends, a lot of times folks would just really just get together and throw down to kind of just, express their spirit, to replenish, to rejuvenate, and get ready to get up and go fight another day.
Yeah,
And,
he said to go to Ray's Boom Boom Room.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You gotta get up in there and get free.
I was gonna say, is that what I saw you? Because you was talking about Maya Angelou. Is that why you mentioned her in the beginning of the song?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yeah. So so there was that. Among others, you know what I mean? If you, I had just seen a dope documentary about her, and spent a lot of last year watching documentaries and reading a lot of things that I was learning about. Also, just kind of ended up in the song, and there was this consistent theme as well of how people use these type of expressions to kind of continue to fight. Maya danced. She talks about it. You know what I mean? And talks about the parties that she hosted and so on and so forth as as just a part of how she managed the struggle.
You know what I'm saying? What you know about Capillary?
Oh man, I don't know how to do it.
I went to a graduation one time. Like I saw everybody promote to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I mean, right. Like, but we know that it was developed in protest and to fight against oppression in Brazil and in Angola. Two places that were colonized by the Portuguese. Many dark-skinned people in those places learned these techniques and took them to the colonizer, and gave them gave them some spinning kicks. You know what I mean? And I think that was just a very deliberate way that I wanted to just give a nod to this as a cross diasporian phenomenon. You know what I mean? Like this interplay with expression and dance is a part of freedom fighting. Yeah.
Okay, what you think about COVID and the vaccine and stuff?
I mean, I can't wait to get a vaccine. I'm looking forward to, when my number is called and I can, go and try to protect myself from what all is happening out here. Luckily, my brother was able to get one and my father was able to get one. I'm waiting till my number gets called. But COVID is trash, man. I mean, it's just a existential threat to all of us. So many people who I'm close to have lost loved ones, parents, siblings. Many of my fraternity brothers. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi. Many of my fraternity brothers have fallen into this thing, and it's a scary thing to watch and witness. And surprise, it's a public health crisis, and Black people in America are getting it the worst here in America. And we have this thing where only 2 nations in Africa really gotten any vaccines at all when in the vaccine rollout, right? So, you're seeing a prejudice play out in COVID at all levels, and it's really frustrating. But I think that I'm hopeful that vaccination and further research. Shout out to my good brother, Chike Agbonugafor, professor over at Yale, is a good brother, is doing a lot of research on COVID, trying to figure out how we can get this thing contained. That this is not going to be that continues to plague us as a species, man. But it's it's just been a dark cloud that's been hanging over us. It's been real frustrating, but I'm glad to have survived this long. Playing it safe, trying to follow the rules as best as I can.
I don't know. It was an article I was reading. It came out. I saw it on in the news like yesterday. But I guess basically the government is about to release a report, an extraterrestrial report, June 1st, and basically some of the stuff in the report they're not going to be able to explain to us. So I'm just like, so what's your thought on it? Because now it seems like my point, I think what's happening now is so many sightings now happening where they can't, and then we got our own phones and our own stuff now where they can't cover it up no more. So now they have to kind of say something. But I guess they're like, okay, what are we gonna say? So, what's your opinion on that?
Man, I think that one of the things that lets us know that 2020 was one of the wildest years in human history is that there was a literal UFO headline that came out with a video of UFO that just kind of came and went. It just, you know what I mean? It's like the year was so wild. It was like UFO sighting. Here's the video from the Pentagon. And like 12 hours later, 12 hours later.
We're like, what my stimmy at?
You know what I'm saying? It was a slide, man. It just wasn't even what anybody felt like paying any attention to, right? I mean, I don't necessarily have a whole lot of opinions. I mean, I feel like, you know, in a universe that to this point in time is infinite, you know, to our understanding, to our knowledge. Probably, you know, you know what I mean? You know, it's not necessarily that I'm trying to figure out or understand. You know what I mean? I feel like we got enough problems to figure out on this planet with all the species that we know about. That you know, the thought or threat of extraterrestrials. I'm just like, man, you know, I hope they cool. You know what I mean?
I think we got to be quiet because all of a sudden that shit it had froze up and you sounded like an alien.
Oh man, you know, I might be shit.
You know, right when we start talking about it.
Nanu.
So I would say, shit. What else, man? Yeah, I would say. So what else would you like the people to know about you? Anything we didn't talk about?
You know, I mean, ultimately, it's just a lot of what I did to get to where I'm at. You know, was just putting a plan in place and working that plan, and you know, reaching out to people that believed in me, and you know, putting that plan together. And I feel like, you know, with a strong team and a good plan, then anything that that folks are really trying to accomplish out here, they can, you know, they can really get after and just kind of eliminate the barriers and get there. You know what I mean? And it's like beyond my scholarship and my music, you know, I do community volunteering and you know, trying to fundraise for youth here in Providence, Rhode Island, and you know, that service piece is a big part of my life as well. You know, so you know, it's very much a lift as I climb kind of approach to living, and just grateful for the people that believe in me, actively practice gratitude. You know, and that's just a thing that I want people to know and hopefully incorporate into their own lives as well.
Yeah, I think like now I'm kind of figuring it out too. I look at it like just business, or I figure like anytime you're like serving somebody, providing a service, that's winning.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, definitely. That's that is a part of what I do that just ain't going nowhere. You know. Yeah, even when I didn't have much, you know, I was out trying to you know, figure out how to serve and be an asset to my community. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so that's the thing that I want people to know, and a thing that I want people to consider doing. You know, there's a lot of work out here to be done. There's a lot of folks that need various kinds of help, and if we are also putting time and investing in ourselves, but also investing in our communities, then we can definitely help lift each other up. And that's one thing I hope that people are just consider and lean into service.
And what would you like to say to your fans and supporters?
Man, what up? Much appreciated. Keep rocking. Spread the tunes, spread positivity, and hit me up. I'm easy to find. You know what I'm saying? Shout me out, leave me a message, and let me know what's on your mind and what you want to see next from Malik Starx.
Yeah, I would say, what make you want to do music anyway? Because some people could just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna focus on just being a teacher, professor." So what made you still want to do the music?
I love it, and there's just a lot of things that writing academic papers and doing science doesn't do for me that music does. There's a lot of things that I want to say. There's communities that I want to speak to and continue to socialize in and be a part of, that building structural equation models of human behavior just ain't really going to give me access to those rooms. You know what I'm saying? To those communities. Hip hop's been a part of my life since I was a young whippersnapper. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be there for me. And even when I wasn't recording music, I was rhyming. Just to keep balance, to keep my spirit balanced. It's a part of me. So I make music really to express myself, to kind of keep my head screwed on straight. You know what I mean? It's a tough world out here, and I think for many of us, music is just a way to manage. Get them ideas out so they ain't swirling around in our head, so it doesn't just be become the anxiety that takes over the day. Just get out on that page and kind of calm it down and get ready to fight all of the other fights that need to be fought in the course of the day. So really that's it, man. Music helps me keep my mind in check. So I gotta kind of like Rakim with the microphone fiend. You know what I'm saying? He's an addict, addicted to music. And I think there's a big part of it that's that for me. So no heroin, just rhymes.
I say, what is hip hop to you?
It is, man, it's a lot of things. It's the intersection of creativity and entrepreneurship for Black and brown communities, and it's a way that we have consistently expressed our protests of expression of oppression. Protest against oppression, just in the styles, in the just doing things our own way, and then communicating to each other in ways that we find to be fun and enjoyable. And it's in some ways it's the cage bird singing. That's what it was from the very beginning. Folks was dealing with various forms of ostracization, marginalization, poverty, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, nah, we're gonna take these lemons and make lemonade. And we, created $1 billion industry. You know what I mean? Out of protest.
Pain. Yeah.
Out of pain, exactly. And that's I think that continues to be in many of things that were out here for me in the world that in my formative years that I experienced. Like, I had the opportunity to make sense out of what was going to happen. I've experienced police pulling me over and pulling guns on me and so on and so forth. But it's like I already knew that was coming. Many you know what I'm saying? Among others, right?
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of knowledge in hip hop too. Just it's almost like things that I turn around and ended up learning in sociology and even like this stuff that I had to relearn in a PhD program that I first heard from KRS-One when I was in middle school. You know what I'm saying? And so, hip hop also just has
you listen to my philosophy.
You know what I'm saying? And what was the joint? You must learn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was just, there's so much knowledge in that song. Like I've sat with that song a couple of times in recent years, and really was just like, dang, this is some high level research that this brother put together to a beat and had me rocking to this in middle school. I wasn't even ready for it.
I was just talking about him a couple of days ago. I was like, man, that shit was hard. I don't know, people were sleeping on him.
Oh man, absolutely. No, he's one of the great
teachers.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I mean, shoot, I got one of my close friends. Actually, he's a professor at Cal State East Bay. He became a professor of African American studies. Ultimately, did a PhD in African studies after hearing Razzcazz's "Nature of the Threat." It was the first time he heard the word Kemet, and was like, "What is this word?" And started learning about ancient Egypt, and he ended up taking like 4 years of hieroglyphics and really diving deep into hip hop is that for me too. It is a medium through which I've just learned so many things about the world, the history of the world, and how to make sense of it. So yeah, I mean, that's a part of what hip hop means to me as well.
That's why I had Razzcazz on the show. I was like, man, how you rapping that shit like that, man? I was like, he was young spitting that shit too. Like, god damn.
Man, no, that dude is amazing. I actually got to meet Razzcazz. I did a show with him back in 2007. Opened up for him with my rap group. Me and my homeboy Mr. Cliff. We had a rap group called the Robotus All Stars, and we got booked on the show opening for Razzcazz. And there was actually the promoter got tied up, and they asked me if I'd pick Razzcazz up from the airport. So I'd picked him and a couple of his buddies up from the airport, and went to the mall and hung out. Just spent the day with Razzcazz. Spent the day with Razzcazz on the Humble. He was cool as hell. And oddly enough, my homeboy that had heard Nature of the Threat, and ultimately that inspired him to do a PhD, he came to the show. So I actually got to introduce them to each other, and he got to tell Raz just about that profound impact that that song had on him. And now you got students, in his classroom at Cal State East Bay that are getting, this deep learning from a brother who, might not have gone down that road if it wasn't for the impact of Razzcazz's song on him. So, dude is legend, man. And shoot, his 2020 album was dope. He just had a recent album that came out that's like, dang, why folks sleeping on the new Razzcazz album? Like, y'all serious? It's like one of the best to ever do it with new music. No, check that out.
All right, man. Appreciate talking to you, bro. It was nice talking on politicking with you.
Absolutely, Poe. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, and appreciate the platform. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about what I do, and hollering at you and hope the folks heard something that was useful, and I'm looking forward to the next episodes of your podcast, man. You're doing really dope stuff with this thing, man. So glad to be a part of it. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. You want to tell me your social media and everything?
Yeah, yep. So you can find me at Malik Starx on everywhere. You know what I mean? So I'm at Malik Starx on TikTok. I'm at Starx Malik on Instagram. But if you look up Malik Starx, you'll find me there too. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. MalikStarx. You just look for that. You're gonna find me every time.
All right, y'all. We out. Till next time. Check me out on rappertshirts.com.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm saying.